This is Asha. Asha is an artist, a thinker, a daydreamer and believer, especially in the imaginary. And this year, more than anything else, she was deeply curious. Not lost, not confused, not searching for herself in the cupboard under the stairs. Curious about dreaming, about imagination, about what happens when you stop outsourcing belief and start building conditions from the inside out. She was also, and let's be transparent here, completely and utterly broke. A true artist at that, not in a tragic way. In a this is God's plan way. This will make sense later kind of way. She didn't set out to make an artist residency, not because she couldn't afford one, but because she realized she didn't need one to tell her she was valid. Artist residencies, after all, are a particular type of Olympics. They ask you to perform certainty, to already know what the work is before you've even finished listening to what is becoming. Asha wasn't interested in performing clarity. She was interested in her personal flow state. Instead of waiting to be chosen, she chose herself. Not loudly, not egotistically, but with quiet confidence of someone who understands this. If the mind can imagine something, it can also construct the conditions for it to exist. So step by step, she built her own in-residency. And yes, it lives in her bedroom. We'll come back to that. It turns out artist residencies are tokens. That involve applications, committees, references, deadlines, and a very specific tone of confidence that suggests you need validation. Asha did not. What she did have, however, was a bedroom, a playful imagination, and a quiet refusal to wait for permission. So she built a playground for herself. Now, before you imagine grand studios with cinematic backdrops, let's be clear. This residency takes place in Asha's bedroom, a humble one. White crinkled bed sheets that never quite behave. A double bed that holds ideas as often as it holds sleep. Cream carpet, 2 lamps. Light cream curtains that don't block the world out, only soften it. An exercise bike. A humidifier quietly exhaling clouds like a patient witness. And incense, always incense, drifting through the air like a thought that hasn't decided what it wants to become. A room that doesn't perform productivity, it hosts it. Asha didn't come here to make something perfect. She came here to listen, to find lightening again, not in tempo, but in truth. Somewhere along the way, the merry-go-round had blurred her vision. And soon after she realized that she was the one choosing to hold on. This residency wasn't announced. There were no posters, no press releases, no, "Unfortunately, we regret to inform you." It began quietly, with a decision to take herself seriously, creating for her inner child's perspective, to treat imagination not as escape, but as a blueprint of play. Every day the bedroom shifted. Some mornings it was the studio, some afternoons it was therapy, some evenings it was simply a place to lie on the bed and stare at the ceiling while thoughts argued overhead. And that, too, turned out to be part of the work. Because Asha discovered something most people aren't taught. Creativity doesn't disappear when you stop producing. It reorganizes, it moves in the shadows, like roots, like mycelium, like ideas waiting for the right conditions. There were days when thoughts arrived loudly, intrusive ones, unwelcome ones, the kind that knock without asking and tell stories you didn't audition for. At first, Asha tried to manage them. She resisted, she analyzed. She attempted to outthink her own nervous system. It didn't work, because those thoughts weren't looking for logic. They were looking for attention. And once she noticed that, everything softened. Instead of feeding them, she watched them, like clouds passing across the ceiling. Like background noise, you don't need to turn into a main character. She learned something vital. A thought can be loud without being true. Fear can be convincing without being real. And darkness doesn't need to be numbed. It just doesn't need a microphone. Painting became the place her attention could land. Not to fix herself, to find a conclusion, but to stay present long enough for her body to remember it was safe. Paint doesn't rush you. A canvas doesn't judge you. A brush doesn't ask for credentials. It asks one thing only. Are you here? Some days Asha painted for hours. Some days she painted for 10 minutes and lay on the bed watching the lamps glow. Some days the most radical creative act was stopping. And here's the funny thing. Those were the days something actually changed. Because force had left the room. And without force, intelligence arrived. You see, Asha has always believed something slightly unreasonable. She believes that if the mind can imagine something, then the body can learn how to build it. Not immediately, not neatly, but honestly. That belief is why this residency exists. Not because she's not a multimillionaire, though she was, but because she knew she could cultivate the same legitimacy internally that she was seeking externally. And that, it turns out, is a very different kind of wealth. As the days passed, confidence emerged, not the loud kind, not the kind that needs to announce itself, but the silent but deadly kind. The kind that says, I don't need to prove this, I just need to be it. Style stopped being something she searched for and started being something that showed up when she stopped interfering. Mistakes weren't erased, they were folded in. Layers added naturally to merging conversations. Colors were allowed to bleed. Politely. The painting was talking through her. Some of the most truthful moments arrive when you aren't looking. And now, it's Christmas Eve. The air feels different today. Quieter, slower, as if the world itself has lowered its voice. The lights are on. The bed is unmade, as always. Asha stands in the room, paint on her cheek, making the last marks of the year. Not because it's symbolic, but because it feels right. This year didn't give her answers, it gave her courage. A way to move without rushing. A way to sit with uncertainty without collapsing into it. A way to notice that thoughts are weather, not identity. She learned that rest isn't a pause in becoming, it's part of it. That growth doesn't need witnesses. That imagination isn't childish, it's infrastructural. So this is a Christmas story. Not about snow or miracles or neat endings, but about a woman, a bedroom, and the quiet decision to believe in herself before the world caught up. This was an artist residency, built from curiosity, held by attention, measured in coherence. And if you're listening closely, you might realize something. This story isn't finished, because imagination doesn't end at the page. It waits for you to believe it's real enough to step into. And if you're still listening, happy holidays.